Hey everyone, Ken Whiting here with Paddle TV, and this week we're going to talk about what's better, a dry suit or a wetsuit. And we're talking, of course, about what's better when it's cold out. And it is cold out, and it's just getting colder. In fact, they're calling for snow later this week, which is bumming me out. But it doesn't mean I have to stop paddling. It just means I have to choose a dry suit or a wetsuit. Now, before we get into it, please subscribe to Paddle TV if you haven't already, and hit the little notification bell so you get notified when the next video comes out. Also, check out the Paddle Tales series if you haven't already. Paddle Tales is a really cool series. It goes on amazing paddling adventures to some of the coolest paddling destinations in the world. There's a link in the description box down below. So what's better, dry suit or wetsuit? Well, this is my dry suit that I've had for at least 15 years. It's joined me on adventures in the Arctic, down in the Grand Canyon in the middle of winter over Christmas and New Year's, all sorts of cool places. Now, this is not my wetsuit. This is my daughter's wetsuit. And the reason it's not my wetsuit is because I don't have a wetsuit anymore. Because I don't like using wetsuits anymore. I like using dry suits. So I think you've got the answer to the question right off the bat, which I wasn't intending on doing. But it's hard to disguise the fact that that's not going to fit a big lug like me. So let's talk about why I prefer dry suits over wetsuits. And I think, to be perfectly honest, it's simply because I've gotten soft. I've gotten soft in my years and my age. There was a time, actually there's a long time, where I never had a dry suit. I just used wetsuits and dry tops and combinations thereof when it was cold out. And it does a great job. They do a great job of keeping you warm. As long as the wetsuit is sized appropriately for you, the only downside is you're wet. They work when they're wet. And I don't want to be wet anymore. So that's why I prefer the dry suit. It's not about one working better than the other. It's purely a softness issue, a personal softness issue. I like being dry. But let's talk about wetsuits. So the idea behind wetsuits, if you don't know, is that they're made of neoprene. And the idea is that they hold, when they get wet, they hold a thin layer of water between it and your skin. And in order to do that, they have to be tight. They have to be snug against your skin. If they're not, then that thin layer of water against your skin is going to be flushed with cold water on an ongoing basis. If they're snug, then it stays in place, that water stays in place, and that's what keeps you warm. Your body warms up that thin layer of water, and then you're in a warm cocoon. So if you're going to go the route of wetsuit, it has to fit well. And what does that mean? That means that over time, whether you're growing as a kid, whether you're growing as an adult, however you're changing, you will have to get a new wetsuit to accommodate that, which is one of the benefits of a dry suit. Is as long as you're not really growing tremendously, they're designed to fit you as you change. Wetsuits come in a variety of sizes. This is typically called a Farmer John, which is the long legs, and then it's just got shoulder straps. You can wear a wetsuit shirt over top of this. If it's cold, that's definitely what you'd want to do. A wetsuit shirt like this, and once again, my daughter's. Or you have a shorty, and this shorty is short sleeve, short shorts. One of the great things about wetsuits is that you can get different thicknesses. And so if you don't get cold really easily, and you can get away with not as thick a wetsuit, you get a lot of range of movement with wetsuits. And that's why a lot of surfers, most surfers use wetsuits, because it doesn't really inhibit you that much. And it also provides a level, actually a surprising amount of flotation if you end up in the water swimming. So it's almost like you're wrapping your whole body with a life jacket. It's surprising how much easier it makes swimming, which is nice when you're in freezing cold water. Unexpectedly, you not only have a life jacket, but you have the whole wetsuit to help you swim and get out of the water as quick as possible. Another benefit of wetsuits is that they're very affordable compared to dry suits, and they're easy to repair if they get damaged. So that's a nice feature. The downside of wetsuits, of course, as I mentioned before, is you're wet. And if that's a deal breaker like it is for me. Also, if you need to go to the bathroom, it can be a pain in the butt. And they're not, they need to be snug to work. And so they're not exactly the most fun things to put on. You got to reef them on. Whereas a dry suit, you can pretty much just step right into, even with your street clothes if you wanted to, and you're good to go. So, speaking of the dry suit, let's talk about the dry suit. If you don't know much about dry suits are called dry suits because they keep you dry, at least in theory. And most good dry suits, if nothing's happened to them, then they're going to keep you dry. They're going to do a great job of keeping you dry. You should be able to, at the end of the day, unless you're doing some really rough water paddling or in some hard whitewater paddling, you should be able to walk out of your dry suit without a drop of water on you. The reason for that is because they have gaskets at the neck, seals the neck up, and at the wrists. That stops water from getting in neck and wrists. The only other spot is your feet. Now at the feet, you can get dry suits with gaskets at the ankles, but you can also get dry suits with feet built right in, dry feet. And I personally love these, the dry feet. I don't like having gaskets at my ankles. It makes my feet colder because it cuts off a little bit of the circulation to the foot. And also my feet stay dry. I think I've mentioned this before, that I've gotten soft. And dry feet is an important thing to me. So I can wear my comfy socks, my favorite socks, inside the dry suit, and then inside whatever boot that I put over top of this, because you don't want to just wear this on its own. If you walk around on just the dry feet and wear a hole in there, well, your dry suit isn't exactly going to be dry anymore. You don't want any holes in your dry suit. So that's how you're sealed in, and then they just have these big zippers here to seal up. Now, these zippers, it's important, they can be a bit of a pain sometimes to put on and off, so it's important that you keep them lubed up. There's the zipper lube, but you can always use any type of grease to on the zipper itself to make it easier to zip up and up and down. Something to note too, if you're getting a dry suit, is get one, spend the extra money. Get one that has the relief zipper. When you need to go to the bathroom, this is a game changer. It sucks to have to take off everything in order to go, whereas if you have the relief zipper, or for the women's model, I believe it is called a drop seat in the back, you take care of business without taking everything off and freezing at the same time. So spend the money on that little enhancement. So to sum it all up, the pros of a dry suit: you stay dry. They are easy, relatively speaking, to get in and out of. And one size, once you've stopped growing from being a kid to an adult, one size should fit you forever as you change sizes yourself. Because you should buy one that has plenty of room to stack layers. And that's the other pro of a dry suit too, is that this dry suit on its own isn't really what's keeping me warm. I mean, it is keeping a nice cushion of air that I'm going to warm up if I'm just wearing the dry suit, but the warmth comes from layering my clothing inside the dry suit. And depending on how cold it is, I'll choose different layers. And so that's the joy of the dry suit, is that with a variety of layers to choose from, I can have one dry suit can provide a perfect solution for any degree of cold weather paddling conditions. Now, the cons of a dry suit is, number one, the price. These things are not cheap. They're, you can have, for a quality dry suit, and my feeling is if you're gonna go down the road and get a dry suit, get a quality dry suit. But you're looking at around $1,000, or, plus or minus a couple $100 there. But even though it's $1,000, I mean, I know that's not gonna be doable for a lot of people, but you got to keep in mind that if you take care of your gear, I've taken care of this thing, and I'm on 15 years or so with this. So when you split this, I'm hoping this lasts for another 5 years. When you split that over 20 years, that's not so bad for like the ultimate in comfort paddling in cold conditions. The other downside of a dry suit is if you skimp out and you don't get the relief zipper or the drop seat, going to the bathroom is a real pain in the butt. That pretty much does it. You know where I stand with dry suits and wetsuits, which is better. I'm sure some of you have some different ideas out there, and I'd love to hear them. Leave a comment in the comment section down below, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And stay tuned, because we got lots more paddling tips, tricks, and paddle tales episodes coming your way.